To the shaman's view, the view from the other side of the veil. Today I want to speak with you about the oracle and how badly we need an oracle today to guide us through these turbulent times that we're going through. Now, in the Greek days, you would go to Delphi, to the oracle, and you would get direct guidance from a woman that was called the Pythoness because she embodied the spirit of the serpent, of the python. So you would get communications directly from the mother, from the spirit of the earth, from Gaia, or from the gods, from the heavenly gods. Today, it's very hard to find that kind of guidance anymore. So we have to become our own oracle. Luckily, we have help. We have the help of the symbols, of the ancient symbols that we can use to connect to these archetypal principles. So I'd like to speak a little bit about that, but I want to begin by consulting the oracle. So I want to consult the mystical shaman oracle that I did with Colette Baron Reed and with my wife Marcella. This is the oracle of the shamans. This is the oracle of the Americas primarily, but it's really universal because these are universal symbols, universal archetypes. Very similar to the tarot, but the tarot deck evolved in the 1500s in Middle Europe at a time that it was under the yoke of the church. So much of the imagery is the imagery of medieval Europe with the church and the guilt and the shame and describing of the mythology of being cast out of the garden of the church. Whereas the oracle that we work with of the Americas, I just pulled the card out to give me a little bit of guidance, is the corn. This is the card of the corn. And the corn is not only a food that we eat, but in the Americas, we are the people of the corn. In Asia, the mythologies are of the people of the rice, and in Europe, of the people of the wheat. That's why the European mysteries, including Christianity, are the mysteries of the wheat. In ancient, in ancient Greece, they were the Eleusinian mysteries of this ergot, of this fungus that grew on the wheat. And that was the basis of the most ancient and longest lasting mysteries in Middle Europe, the Eleusinian mysteries of the wheat. And Demeter was the only goddess that really cared about humanity, because all of the other Greek gods were just not a good lot in general. Humans were the playthings of the gods, but Demeter, the goddess of the wheat, that later became the model for the Madonna in Christianity, as the wheat itself became the symbol of the body of Christ among the Catholics. So these are the traditions of the wheat that even are built into the prayers. I remember as a young man learning the Lord's Prayer and learning how it said, "And give us this day our daily bread." It wasn't the prayer of the Paleolithic shamans that would have said, "And give us this day our daily fats and proteins." No, give us this day our daily bread. So in the Americas, we are the people of the corn. This is our plant. If you go to Peru, you find that there are more than 600 varieties of corn. Black corn and blue corn, all small corn, big ears of corn. And among the Hopi, when a child is born, an ear of corn is placed on the crib because corn is considered to be the mother. Corn is the mother of us all. This is the mother grain of the Americas. But it was not only the food that the corn provided, but rather the mythology of how we are in a process of becoming like the corn, of growing the seeds that are given to us by the wise men and women of old, of planting those seeds in the really fertile areas in our soul and tending to them, watering them, and being patient as they begin to germinate in the dark and deep places inside of ourselves, and then reaching out through the ground towards the light and beginning to feed on sunlight, and then eventually growing into great big stalks of corn and great big ears of corn that we can use to feed others, to feed the future generations with the wisdom of these golden kernels of corn that represent the sun. So this was the process of becoming divine. And when the shamans do their rites of passage and initiation, they speak about planting the seeds of the high medicine inside each one of us. And then it's up to us to tend it and to grow it. And some of us who are very much in need of healing might take those seeds and consume them right away, and they will be tremendously healing and sustaining. Those of us that maybe have a bit more patience will water them and tend to them and feel them rumbling inside of our hearts and trust that wisdom will grow from it, and eventually they will sprout. And as they do, they break ground out of the depths and begin to feed on sunlight. And then some of us eat it at that point, a young shoot, a plant, and it's even more life-sustaining. But if you have the patience and the wisdom to tend to these seeds, eventually they grow into great big stalks of corn. And when you mature, when your wisdom matures, you're able to share it with others. The problem today is that there are a lot of people who ate those seeds or the young sprouts and are spouting off a lot of wisdom that they have not matured. And though that's truly, of course, we know that that's not wisdom. That's kind of a pseudo-wisdom that sounds really good. But it's not the deep wisdom that frequently comes from silence. So this is what the oracle is saying to me today. Speak about the corn. Speak about the corn as a process of becoming divine. Whereas in the religion of the conquistadors that the Spanish brought with them to the Americas, you have the divine being a descending force. God made man. In the Americas, the divinity is an ascending force, humans becoming godlike. So one of them is the image of Jesus coming down and being born of woman, and the other, the image of a man or woman becoming holy and becoming divine, much like the Buddha did, who came to tell us that you can awaken your own divinity and become enlightened. This is, in the Americas, the process of divinization, not divination. Divination is what happens when you consult the tarot deck or even the oracle to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. But divinization is the process of becoming divine, of turning the moment into a sacred moment, and not just anticipating what might happen so you can respond to it better, but transforming what's in the cards, which is what is written in the stars, into an opportunity for enlightenment, for becoming divine. So I want to consult the oracle once again and see if what I had planned for the second part of this talk is supported by the forces that are at play in the moment. And this oracle deck, the Mystical Shaman Oracle, has the archetypes of the Americas, the primordial forces before they acquire human attributes and human faces. When you look at the tarot deck, powerful, powerful symbology. All of the elements are human. They have become anthropomorphized. We have created the image of the divine to look like us. But the shaman's oracle are the original forces, powers of nature. Not forces. Forces are what physicists talk about. These are the powers. And the powers are great beings that don't look at all like we do. So the next card that I'm picking, wow, amazing. It's exactly what I was planning to talk to you about today. And it's the card of the curse. The curse is a blessing that has gone bad. The curse. And the shamans speak about different kinds of curses. One of them is when you curse someone. And you're actually, this is a reverse blessing. You're wishing that their life go bad in every possible way. It's not a good thing to do. But there are other curses that we fall trapped to inadvertently. And these are the generational curses that have been passed down from mother to daughter and father to son. These are the habits, the beliefs, the cyclical patterns of losing everything, of losing love and losing fortune and losing health that are passed down from one generation to the other. And that we need to be able to tap into the divine principles in order to break free from them. These are not the simple misadventures that we get into. These are the patterns that spill over from one generation to the next, that unconsciously the father transmits to the son, the mother to the daughter, generally in that way, in the hopes that they will heal it for all of those that came before. So I want to invite you to reflect on what are the karmic patterns, what are the generational curses that you may have inherited and that you need to put into the fire today, that you need to offer to the jaguar. I have my candle lit by the mouth of the jaguar. The jaguar is the one that swallows all of those old karmic patterns, chews them and grinds them and returns them to the earth. That we can return to the earth, that we can really grind and like a mortar and pestle, just break down all of those old patterns and habits and ways of thinking that are the self-inflicted curses. Because they're not only handed down to us, they're really offered to us. And in lieu of having a greater compass, we fall back on these ancient ways that run in our family of living, of dying, of relating, of loving, and of forgiving. So I want to invite you to find out what they are, because this is what's going to allow us to meet the challenges and the opportunities of today in a really clean and elegant way, by putting all of those ancient curses into the fire. Some of them were curses that were given to us by society, by the race or the skin color or the gender that we were born into, or the religion that we were born into. So I was born into a family that was very Catholic. And the one time I was in the Amazon many years ago, and this medicine woman that I was working with looks at me and she says, "It's too bad your people were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, of the Amazon." And I said, "What do you mean, my people? Religion says that all people, Adam and Eve and everyone after that." She says, "Not my people. I still speak with the rivers and the trees and with God. And you can't even have a good conversation with me," she said. "You've lost your contact. You no longer fit in nature. You're no longer natural." And then she said to me, "You know, we are all Aboriginal peoples. We share the same mother. It's Mother Gaia." So I had to break that curse that condemned me to be an outcast for my entire life, and that maybe, as religion told me, at the end of time, maybe after the day of judgment, maybe if I passed judgment in a positive way, I might be able to recover my essential nature. I might be able to do a kind of soul retrieval that would bring me back to my essential self, where I could walk with beauty in the garden again. So I said, no, waiting until the end of time is a long time to wait. I want to do that right now. I want to shed that curse. And we have to do that. Some of the curses that we are given have medical terms associated with them. They are the illnesses that run in the family, the dementias, the heart diseases. Does cancer run in your family? That's a curse. Break it. You've got to break it energetically by reaching out to these ancient powers that are available to us when we want to craft our own destiny. And if we don't do that, of course, we fall into the grip of fate. And fate, remember, is fatal, is deadly. The oracle is one of those great shaman's tools that allows you to craft your own destiny so that you don't have to keep living out that tired old script that was offered to us by our family of origin and the times that we live in. The script that includes our genetic makeup or the family dramas that run in our families. Write an original story for yourself. Craft an original destiny. Use the oracle. Become your own oracle. Because otherwise, your fate has been selected for us. Our fate has already been predetermined, and we need to break out of it. It's not a good path that humanity is in, but we have the ability to change it, each one of us individually, by summoning, embracing, and working with these ancient powers that medicine men and women always had access to. Thank you so much for joining me in Shaman 21. I wish you a beautiful, blessed full moon that we're in right now. Beautiful, beautiful time, full moon in Leo. Leo is all about courage and the courage to dream a new world into being. Aho.